Engineered Fear-Mongering 101. Always start with something that sounds remarkably like the truth, and then pack on the crazy. Let's unpack Trump's claim from the debate. For legal reasons, this show is satire.
A special segment of the Almost Daily Zencast. Hosted by the incorrigible Mr. Zeppo. Let's talk Trump.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, and good night to you, and welcome. Welcome, one and all. I am your humble host, fictional character, the incorrigible Mr. Zeppo. If you're curious about that, pin on the corkboard, visit my collection of online content creation projects that you can explore over at solo.to/Mr. Zeppo. Okay, friends, the internet has been on fire since the presidential debate, primarily because of Trump's outlandish claim, which has now been memeified, counter-memed, and even turned into various songs by clever people on the internet. But all the funny bits aside, let's take a moment to reflect on the very serious and very dangerous outcomes, and then unpack the veracity of his claim to begin with. It is important, despite whatever hilarity may be enjoyed in the memes and counter-memes, it is very important to not lose sight of the fact that within 24 hours of Trump's statement, Haitian immigrants, innocent of the accused activities, have received an exponential increase of racial slurs and other biased activities targeting them. Not the least of which was a bomb threat that was issued against the city of Springfield, Ohio. This was the goal, folks. I don't know how much there is to say else about that. It's patently obvious and perfectly clear once you step back from the echo chambers of rhetoric. He's doubled down since then, apparently promising to deport all Haitian immigrants, regardless of their status, legal or illegal. That, my friends, is patently un-American. Pin on the corkboard if you don't understand that America has always been a melting pot of immigrants. We've discussed it before, and I'm sure we'll have to come back and discuss it again. Okay, let's unpack the actual claim. Because the only thing I have to add to the fact that Trump's targeted xenophobic statement has achieved the obvious goal of ratcheting up racial tensions, not just in Ohio, mind you, but of course, anywhere where anyone might take on that paranoia and find someone to target. Okay, the statement itself. What did I say at the beginning of this episode? Misinformation 101. Start with something truthy. There's no denying that throughout the entirety of American history, there's been incidents of people from all over the place, including American citizens born in America, that have, for one reason or another, resorted to the unimaginable. Now, currently, the search engines are flooded with everything related to the debate, but I'm sure that prior to this incident, we could have found a vast cornucopia of incidences where somebody was unfortunately caught or accused of doing something as heinous as this. But that's not the point. Here's the point. In the days following, of course, Trump was hit with a backlash of, where are you getting this from? This does not appear to be true. Officials from Springfield, Ohio were saying there are no such reports here. And as expected, Trump supporters dug up anything they could find that would stand as apparent evidence or proof that he was speaking the absolute truth. But absurdly, and this is truly absurd, the supposed smoking gun, which was some police cam footage of an arrest incident, this was, of course, brought out as like, oh, look, it's true, as well as some other incidences of people caught probably struggling to survive and resorting to hunting wildfowl. Okay. Here's the thing. Here's the critical issue. There seems to be these three sources, right? There's a photo of a man with some geese or ducks or something. There's the internet claims without any real substantiation. And one in particular was found where, like, somebody said that their sister's cousin's brother or something. Very much hearsay with no evidence presented. And then the police cam footage. The police cam footage was briefly being waved as absolutely undebunkable proof. And people swallowed it, hook, line, and sinker, without bothering to verify the details behind that police cam footage. Guess what? It took about 1.5 minutes to find out that that incident did not happen in Springfield, and that woman involved in that incident was an American citizen and not an immigrant from anywhere. Okay, so if we concede that statistically speaking, the odds are people of all kinds, including probably people suffering from mental health and or poverty and or both, who happen to also be American citizens, have probably resorted to such acts out of desperation. None of this proves that Trump was telling the truth, because what Trump was clearly creating was the false image of hordes of Haitian immigrants eating everybody's pets. This is not the case. Once you unpack the facts, it becomes clear that Vance and Trump were purposefully using shreds of truthiness to create a much larger, targeted, xenophobic, obviously racist lie designed to aggravate the base and inspire them to take some kind of action. Okay. I totally lost my track. I had another thought to connect there too, and I just completely blanked. I apologize. But this is just a reminder that my podcast is real, raw, and radically unscripted. No one is handing me pages to read off of. And I do my best to apply actual critical thinking and to verify things before I record. So the bottom line here is, folks, that there are separate issues at hand. I remembered the thought I was trying to connect to. Let's change the context and the details of this example of Trump's flagrantly exaggerated, paranoia-inducing, fear-mongering. And let's just change the details a little bit and see if the Trumptopian blind faith followers would have agreed as enthusiastically. Over the course of the last 30 and 40 years, there have been multiple incidences, again and again, of Republicans, often politicians, but sometimes just prominent quote-unquote thought leaders, who, after years of speaking loudly against the LGBTQ community and fighting to prevent their access to human rights, find themselves in a pickle because in their private lives, it turns out they like the LGBTQ naughtiness. How many Republican politicians have been secretly closeted homosexuals indulging in the hypocrisy of participating in the LGBT community underground, but vocally fighting against them publicly? So, given that fact, the next time a Republican politician is forced to come out of the closet because of some escapades he got caught in, are we to just declare that every single Republican everywhere is a closeted homosexual struggling with their own homoerotic tendencies? I'm fairly certain that any and all Republicans that would encounter such an accusation would lose their minds and go out of their way to explain how these isolated incidents do not equal a massive, all-pervasive phenomena. It makes perfectly sense under those contexts, doesn't it? My friends who are blind faith Trump believers. It's that simple, folks. An incident of something happening is not proof of an epidemic of that happening everywhere. Oh, remember back when police brutality was one of the central issues being debated? What was the Back the Blue community all about? Oh, it's just a few bad apples. Don't paint with such broad strokes. Don't accuse all police officers of being evil just because there's a few bad apples out there. That is the fundamental issue at play right here. The simple fact is, what J.D. Vance and Donald Trump did was an engineered wedge issue tactic. They're like, oh, we'll take some rumor or some isolated incident. We won't care about the details or the facts around these rumors or the facts around these incidents, and we'll just paint a completely made-up picture and then target a marginalized community and accuse the entirety of that population of being barbaric and uncivilized. What does that language echo of? Oh, right, colonialist conquerors accusing anybody who's not white of being a barbaric animal. I'm sorry, but there's no way to defend this. There's no way to defend this. Any and all attempts to minimize the significance of this issue, any and all attempts to defend it, to rationalize it away, is, whether you realize it or not, aiding and abetting the racist, ethno-nationalist movement that masquerades as some sort of Christian phenomena in this country. That's why it's important to call it out. That's why, even if some lady did eat a cat, the facts must be clarified and Trump's lie must be exposed. We don't know if that lady in the police footage actually ate a cat. There's no footage of that. There's just a Karen-sounding, white-sounding lady in the background yelling the accusation at her. She wasn't a Haitian immigrant. She was an American citizen, and she didn't live in Springfield. So even if she ate a cat, she was not what Trump was talking about. This madness must be called out. These lies must be held to account, dissected and unpacked, and debunked. And mind you, this happens to me all the time. People are like, why are you defending the Democrats and everything they do that's horrible? I am not. But that's a pin on the corkboard and an issue for another moment in history. Because right now, despite the fact that both parties have problematic issues of different kinds and varieties, mind you, I have never said they are exactly the same. I have always said they both have problematic issues. There's obvious problems with corruption in different ways. And no matter how different they may be, they are indeed both attached to the same complex machinery, which is in and of itself riddled with corruption and problematic issues. In this moment, the lesser of two evils argument, while valid, does not take into account what Donald Trump represents. And no matter how often he denies it, there's the simple reality that even before he joined the party, the Republican Party has been trying to thread the needle of not being racist and also depending on the ethno-nationalist, white supremacist vote in this country. So it doesn't matter that there are indeed unfortunate incidents that may resemble the claim. If the facts are what they are, then the statement is as I describe it. There are not hordes of Asian immigrants roving the cities of Springfield, targeting white people's pets. But that's what Donald Trump has now caused the most blind faith, adamant, zealot, I don't know how to conjugate that word in this context, but the most zealous, the most zealot-like of his followers, they now blindly believe that. And thus, the escalation of racial tensions. And the big issue is, how does that solve any of the actual problems that we face in this world? It does not. All it does is empower those amongst the Trumptopian movement who want to pretend not to be racist to then continue to be racist. Ever since Trump, you know what's really fascinating? Before the debate, I did not encounter any of the usual Trumptopian profiles posting anything about any of this. It wasn't until after the debate and after Trump made that statement that they all got on their high horse and acted as if they've been outraged about this forever. And clearly, none of them bothered to do the critical thinking and verification of the claim. If they had, they would have realized that he was exaggerating and weaving a false narrative out of disparate elements that had some truth to them. This is how engineered wedge issues work, my friends. And I did not make up that term just to attack Trump. I've been talking about that for a very long time. The right versus left paradigm is dependent on engineered wedge issues that keep people running in place instead of actually addressing the real life problems that collectively impact all of us. I don't know what else to say about this except that this kind of not so well sublimated racism, and we should also acknowledge the not so well sublimated or hidden sexism going on. This must not stand. These aggressions must not stand. They must be called out. Now, I've been accused of blindly defending the left forever. And let me tell you something. There's nothing to back that up. Here's where I defend. I don't defend politicians. I defend the human behind the political identity if they're being attacked unfairly. All right? I'm not defending Kamala Harris as a politician, and I won't. She's got her issues, and if she gets into office, it is up to everyone, especially the party that nominated her and put her in office, to hold her accountable for anything and everything that may be a problematic issue while she is in office. But as a woman, I will defend her against the unnecessary, pointless, and completely meaningless use of sexist, chauvinist tropes. Because that kind of BS must not stand. It's adorable how Republicans will constantly talk about they don't judge people by the color of their skin or their gender, but by the character of their personality or the morals of their character or whatever. They have a few variants on that, and I don't have the exact wording in front of me, but then they turn around and spew patently sexist nonsense that if anyone said that about their mothers or sisters or daughters, they would lose their shit. But when it's a Democrat, oh, it's fine. I don't know what else to say about this, friends, and I feel like I'm kind of flopping here at the end, except that this is outrageous. This is patently outrageous. And no matter what amount of distractionary nonsense he and or his fan base try to throw in your face, it is up to all of us to understand that these kinds of tactics are disqualifying to stand up and say so, and to stand up and encourage everyone to refuse to support it. Because to continue to support this kind of insidious, malicious, intentional targeting of minorities is to, no matter how much you want to deny it, aid and abet the ethno-nationalist, supposedly Christian movement. Which is, by the way, in case it is not clear, categorically un-Christian, as well as being categorically un-American. And that's what I got to say about that, friends. Until next time, I appreciate your audience and your feedback. Please do feel free to respond and to add your voice to the discussion. But keep in mind, if you come at this discussion with nothing but petty insults and patently obvious boilerplate regurgitated talking points, you're going to have an earful of calling out. Oh, darn it, that's the intro. I meant to play the outro. Here's the outro, folks. Once again, thank you for listening.
And that is the latest madness from behind the orange wall. Thank you for listening to GMT, a special segment of the Almost Daily Zencast.